Welcome to the August 2017 NSM Prework for Sociology. When it comes to Intro Soc, we've got you covered. This video will prepare you for our live session with a quick recap of what we know, as well as a preview of what's to come. So what do we already know about the Intro Soc market? It's one of the largest course areas that you call on, and there is always opportunity here because the market is not cyclical. Remember, this is not a C-cell course either. You need to use a good questioning strategy to get to the real reasons why someone chose a certain title. There's also a lot of growth opportunity for us in the 2-year space, and the fall is a great time to get into those accounts. We know this market can be a little finicky, and it can be hard to get instructors to want to make a change, but we're here to help. Our live session will focus on really digging into how to uncover the information you need to inspire a professor to change books and help you close that business. If you remember one thing, remember that it's always an Intro Soc year. Make sure you're checking in on Intro every semester because you never know when things change, and committees and short stacks form early. Many of you will have accounts that form committees and short stacks now for spring 2018 decisions. Don't miss out on these and make every day an Intro Soc day. In January, we talked about our 2 spring pubs for Intro Soc. You all had a ton of success with these 2 titles, including roles and some big takeaways. Don't forget about these titles as you move into the fall. Let's do a quick recap of what we know about these titles and some of the ways you are successful closing this business. Our Social World shows students the connection between world events and their personal lives via its unique social world model. Because of this approach, Ballantine is one of our strongest offerings for instructors who want a global approach to intro sociology. This title also emphasizes public sociology and provides examples of how students can get involved in global issues at the local level through the Sociologists in Action feature. It also encourages critical thinking and thinking outside the box through the Thinking Sociologically boxes. The unique social world model really sets this book apart, and it applies to every chapter. The authors look at every concept from the micro, meso, and macro perspective. The micro approach is the me-centric. What is happening in my family, my school, and my local community? Meso looks a little broader at national organizations as well as ethnic subcultures. The macro level goes more global and looks at issues and how they impact and are impacted by society as a whole, as well as the global community, including international organizations and cultures. Our other spring 2017 title that will continue to be a big part of your fall is Discover Sociology 3E. This breakout title of the year that more than doubled its sales in its 2nd edition is already off to a great start in the 3rd edition with big wins across the country at various schools. This title looks at how our world shapes us and the social roots of issues that surround us. 4 key themes run throughout this title via feature boxes that focus on these themes: power and inequality, structure and agency, or the sociological imagination, globalization, and technology and society. One thing that really makes this book a strong contender in adoptions is that it bridges the gap between big and brief books. Briefer titles are made briefer by combining research methods with theory coverage and limiting the coverage of institutions. Instructors who want more of these topics make do with a bigger book, but often don't get through the content because there are over 20 chapters in the bigger books. Discover Soc sits right in the middle at 18 chapters and provides more coverage of the institutions than in brief titles, and it includes separate chapters for research methods and theory. Another very popular and unique aspect of Discover Sociology is the careers focus. Each chapter ends with the What Can I Do with a Sociology Degree feature, which highlights a skill developed in sociology classes as well as the profile of a career that uses that skill. The feature also includes data and the outlook for the specific career from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. This especially resonates with departments who are trying to attract more majors to sociology. Also, don't forget that both of these titles have an interactive ebook as well as Sage course packs. The IEB includes AP News video clips, access to Trails activities, and the interactive data maps. For those instructors that are not ASA members, you can also provide a Trails membership upon adoption to sweeten the deal. Now let's talk about what you have new coming this fall for Intro Sociology. This fall, you'll have the condensed version of Our Social World, as well as the 4th edition of George Ritzer's Introduction to Sociology. Ritzer's Introduction to Sociology follows the themes of globalization, digital living, and Ritzer's own McDonaldization and consumerism. It covers the 3 traditional paradigms: structural functional, the conflict approach, and interactionist, as well as the major theoretical offshoots. In this edition, public sociology boxes have been replaced with trending boxes. These feature sociological works about important issues that have become a part of public conversation. They demonstrate the diversity and the reach of sociologists and the impact their research is making in society. Digital living has been one of the key features in Introduction to Sociology, and in this 4th edition, many topics have been updated to reflect current issues surrounding this concept, including examples like Spotify, WikiLeaks, cyber activism, and Uber. Throughout the book, examples have been updated to be more relevant and to keep students up to date. Some of these issues include the 2016 U.S. election, Brexit, climate change, the global growth of ISIS, President Trump's proposed Mexican border wall, transgender individuals in the U.S. Armed Forces, charter schools, the legalization of marijuana, the Flint water crisis, and more. The condensed version of Our Social World follows the same approach and themes as the bigger version. So if you know the big title, you know the condensed. The only difference is the length and number of chapters. The material is condensed with a few less examples and details, and the only TOC difference is in the institutions chapters. Here's a comparison of the big and condensed TOCs. There are 2 less institutions chapters in the condensed version. Family and education are combined. Healthcare is new to the condensed book. It's replacing religion, and was added to this edition because of the sociology portion of the MCAT. Both Ritzer and Ballantine Condensed have IEBs and course packs with the new AP News video clips, interactive maps, and Trails resources. We know there are a lot of competitor Intro Soc titles that you come up against. This is not a C-cell market, so it helps to understand a few of the things behind the competition to help you determine which of our books you might want to lead with. We're going to dig into the most recent publications from our competitors and 2 of the perennial bestsellers. As always, when you come across the competition, ask the questions to get to the why behind their book decision. Our activity in the live session is going to focus on questioning strategies and how to position yourself against the competition. Kendall, Sociology in Our Times from Cengage came out this spring, and the big version is due out for spring classes, so watch out for it later this fall. This book emphasizes the connection to everyday life, but we've heard that many of the examples are becoming outdated to today's students. Diversity is a major theme, as are the impact of media, the global perspective, and social and global change. Kendall covers the 3 traditional paradigms in a rather formulaic way in each chapter, which might be a negative to some instructors. Keep in mind that Cengage pushes the MindTap component here with a loose leaf add-on for those who want print. Remember to ask your instructors if they're using MindTap, and if so, which assets. Manza's The Sociology Project is actually authored by a large group of instructors from NYU. The upside here is that each chapter is written by a specialist in that particular field, but with that many people involved, there might also be some inconsistencies or choppiness in the writing style. Chapters are framed around 3 to 5 big questions. The new edition touts a documentary film. This title is perceived to be a bit higher level than others. Manza has 23 chapters, which is also hard to fit in a one-semester syllabus. It also has an unusual TOC. Globalization is a separate chapter. Markets, organization, work, and the cities chapters are all covered much later than usual, and deviance is covered much earlier than in many other books. Conley's, you may ask yourself, is Norton's untextbook. It's also the price leader in the 4-color market at $71.25. It's written more like a novel with lots of personal anecdotes and stories to explain concepts, although the TOC does sort of follow the same framework as others. The new edition features a look at non-sociologists and how they use sociology in their lives and jobs. It also has new coverage of health and science to answer MCAT concerns. Conley has been criticized in the past for his lacking coverage of sex and gender, feminist theory, and other related topics. And the untextbook approach can be hard for students, as there is not as much pedagogy to frame what they're learning. Concepts and substance are sometimes sacrificed for style and trendiness in the untextbook approach. Theory coverage is also unpredictable and sporadic in this book. Giddens is known for its global approach and has an emphasis on research and data. Its theory coverage is weighed heavily towards macro sociology, so there's less on individuals and society, and more on the bigger picture issues, so students may not see the relevance to their own lives in this book. Functionalist and feminist theory are used most. There is little use of conflict theory, which is one of the most traditional paradigms that instructors cover. Henslin is popular for its personal, informal writing style with examples from the author's life and travels, and the visual sociology element, or the use of photo essays to tell stories. There are also numerous graphs and tables that demonstrate social change over time. However, Henslin puts more emphasis on microsociology, or the sociology of everyday life and social interaction. It also means it has less emphasis on social structure or inequality and the big picture items. It only has half a chapter on gender, whereas most books have a full chapter. There is also no healthcare chapter for pre-med students going on to take the MCAT. Moshonis has lots of features that help students apply sociology to their own lives and experience, such as the Power of Sociology framework that guides each chapter, the Seeing Sociology in Everyday Life feature, and new coverage on social media and diversity. However, it only has half a chapter on family, and the sexuality chapter is not grouped with other inequalities chapters and focuses more heavily on behaviors than on inequality based on sexual orientation. One of the best tools you have is the Intro Soc internal sales tool. This tool highlights some key questions that you can ask to open the door and start digging into competition. It also includes buzzwords and key areas of coverage associated with our books. So when you hear something similar come up in your conversations with customers, you can start to narrow down which of our titles might be best to lead with. This tool is being updated for the fall, and you'll have a chance to use it during our live session, as well as learn some of the questions your colleagues use to open up conversations with intro sociology instructors. Let's talk a little about the Intro Soc sales call to prepare us for the live session in August. It's not enough in this market to ask what the book in use is and how it's working. You'll most likely hear, "It's fine." Sometimes asking what they like about the book will get you a little bit more info, but often you'll hear that they've been using it for a while. That's comfort or inertia, not a why. Think about the questions you can ask to get to the real why behind a customer's book decision. This is not a C-sell market, so finding out what book they use is not going to tell you which title to lead with. Just because they've been using it for a while is not why they chose the book. It's why they stay with it now, because they don't see the need to switch. You need to ask questions that identify the gap and what their motives to switch might be. In our live session, we're going to focus on some of the skills from CSP training. Specifically, we're going to look at using good discovery questions to identify the gap and the motive to switch. Make sure to come to the session with some of your favorite discovery questions because you'll need them for the activity. We'll also look at identifying which of our titles to lead with using the sales tool and advocating for that title. We're looking forward to seeing you in August. If we can help in the meantime, definitely let us know.